Computer. Perfect. So today I'm here with the famous Richard Canton from Canton Martial Arts. Welcome to the Kickstart Your Confidence podcast. How are you doing,
Thank you
sir?
very much. Yeah, really, really good. Cheers, buddy. Thanks ever so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So me and Rich have just done a 2.5 hour meeting this morning on our mastermind, and we've gone through some really important stuff. Before we start, can you just, everyone who's watching, that if they don't know you, can you just explain who you are and what you do?
Yep. So my name's Richard Canton. I've been training in martial arts for about 30 years, coming up to 30 years now. Started in training in Australia. And then in 1995, I turned professional and quit my daytime job, which was a carpenter, and started teaching and training karate full time. And then in 1997, I came over to England to teach and train karate full time, compete and all that kind of stuff. And ever since then, it just sort of snowballed really, and just didn't go home. I had a good club, had a good following, had good people. You know, met my wife, had a beautiful daughter. Next thing you know, you're here for 20-something years, whatever it might be, 23 years. And you think, oh, that wasn't the plan. I didn't know what the plan was, if I was going to go back to Australia or not. I'm not going to now. So, in Canton Martial Arts itself, I was working with a different company back then. And I started Canton Martial Arts in 2002. We're primarily a karate jitsu or an applied karate school. But we also teach ladies kickboxing and Muay Thai, and we have Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and a few things. But I would say 90% of what we do is applied karate or karate jutsu school.
Nice. Quite a little resume there.
Yeah.
Two things I want to mention when you said that, I was sort of chuckling to myself, is the dates that you said are pretty much identical. I started teaching in 97, 98, which is when you moved across. There's another thing you said. That's completely gone. But two dates that you said, and I was like, yeah, that's exactly when I started doing martial arts for 30 years. There you go, that was everyone. So yeah. I've been doing it 29 years, and I started teaching when I was 17, 18, so 98. So that's pretty cool. And you've not left? There's obviously something about East Sussex you like.
Yeah, and the thing is, when I first started, my main club was in Medway Towns. That's where I know Colin Payne from.
Yeah.
And throughout Kent, we were all throughout Kent. I had a really, really big club up there, and through Medway and Maidstone, we had like 500-600. We had big numbers up there. But my wife, she's from Eastbourne, and we had our daughter, and we were living in Medway Towns. And I know you know what the Medway Towns is like. It's okay. But then we would come and visit Eastbourne, and Eastbourne's a seaside town, and you sit and think, what the hell are we living in Medway for when we can be living on the seaside? And Eastbourne was just that little bit nice, a little bit quieter. And we had the club running down here very, very small. And I just made a business decision to move my whole epicenter and all that kind of stuff down to Eastbourne because it was nicer. And the club sort of pretty much folded up in Medway and Maidstone and stuff like that anyway. Some places are still open up that way with us. But it was just a family decision and a personal decision. It was time to get out of the Medway and time to come down to the coast and have a bit more of a relaxed, easy living. Yeah.
I mean, I love living on the seaside. You know, Hastings isn't the best town on the planet, and so many people run it down, but I love it. You know, our peers now know, not really a peer, but when you compare it to Eastbourne and Brighton, obviously Eastbourne's better than Hastings and Brighton's better than Eastbourne, but at the same price, the cost reflects. I love living on the seafront. I love having the coast and the sea, and you know, we've got the main road out. You know, I'd hate to live in sort of central London or places like that. So
and I'm the same. When I first moved over here, funny story for you. I was living in Croydon, and I was helping. So there was 9 of us come over, 4 lads set up. No, 7 of us set up. 4 guys set up, and I was helping one of the lads set up in Croydon, and we were right next to East Croydon Station. I don't know if you know East Croydon Station. You were basically, house. People living above stairs, people downstairs, and it was just. And I was working in and around Purley and Croydon and stuff like that. And
Purley way, yeah, I know it well.
And so that was our very first dojo that we opened up, was up in Purley. And so I was helping him set up classes and stuff like that there, and it was just awful. And then, so my manager said to me, he goes, right, it's time for you to set up. You can set up in west London, so up near Wembley area and all Boreham Wood and sort of all that kind of stuff, or there's Kent. Yeah. So I drove around northwest London, and it was horrendous, trying to drive in and around the 406 and trying to look at places and looking at houses, and it's just like, oh God, this is bad. And I remember it to this day. I was on the A2 driving out towards Kent, and I literally went under the M25 just before Blue World, under the M25, and there was a field there and a field there and trees. And I went, yeah, he'll do. And I drove into Gravesend, and I was chatting to people at the pub and stuff like that, because I thought, if anyone's going to talk, it's going to be at the pub. That's where Australians go to chat. And it was just a completely different feel. And I rang my manager, and so I said, yeah, I want to set up a club here in Kent. And that was sort of why I ended up more Kent way rather than London way, because it was just so congested. Yeah. So I didn't really want that really.
No, and probably a good move. Well, I'd say probably 100% not a good move on your part there. I'd say.
It's like you and I probably have spoken about before. If you were doing what you were doing, and I was doing what I was doing in London, and we had our own gyms in London, we'd be charging £120 a month. You'd have this massive centre. You'd probably have 2 billion people coming to your centre to do it, but because you've got that condensity of people. But your quality of life would just be horrendous, I think. And I think I would much prefer a pay cut for a quality of life increase than living there in that epicenter and that bubble, I think.
Yeah, 100%. Because again, as you get older and mature, you realise that quality of life is just as important, if not more important, than money. Yeah. I left BT, took a massive pay cut to do this. So quality of life, less stress in ways, over working I was working like 106, 107 hour weeks.
Wow.
Like, insane. And, you know, my wife, my friends were like, you're going to kill yourself, you're going to burn out, you're going to have to give at some point. And obviously, eventually I did, and I'm really glad I did. But yeah, quality of life. You can have all the money in the world if you're that lucky, but if you have no life, what's the point?
Exactly that, and I think that's important. And I, like we were talking about on that phone call this morning, there was one lad saying, "Oh, you know, I've got to be careful about burning out." And one thing we're going to talk about in COVID probably later is I saw so many instructors giving and burning themselves out. You know, the one thing that, you know, and I've done that in the past where I've been, you know, teaching from 12 o'clock in the afternoon to 10 o'clock at night, 6 days, 7 days a week, and you burn out. You think, yeah, I don't want to do martial arts anymore. You actually end up hating going to the gym. And I think having that, oh, hang on a second here. This is meant to be my hobby. I'm meant to be enjoying this. And so it's like, right, I'm having that day off and that day off, and I'm going to only have those set hours. Having that, probably taking a pay cut, but like you say, increasing my life and my own mental health, it has been massive, really. Yeah.
In all fairness, that's something I still need to learn. I'm not burning out, but again, I'm filling my days up more and more to say keep everyone else happy. But, you know, all my members are like, can we get BT? Can we do this? Can we do this? So I'm like, yeah, of course, of course, and I'm starting to become aware that I'm doing it again.
Yeah.
You know, so I need to kind of take note of that myself and say, you need some time for yourself. You need to have.
Like I even say to my staff, it's like, no, you can't work today. You have to have a day off, and it's on their holiday. It's on their holidays. No, you must go on holiday. I don't care. You just can't stay at home. I don't care if you go to your auntie's place in a different town 5 miles away, but just go and have that downtime. It's like, you know, one thing annoys me with parents with their kids when they're studying for exams. If they've got GCSEs coming up, or they get their GCSEs so they won't be in class for 5 weeks. It's just like, no, you're missing the point. They need to come to class to have that release so that they can, you know, continue to. If you stick them in that bubble for 5 weeks, they could crack. You know, you need to still bring them in 2 to 3 times a week for 45 minutes so they can have that. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, that release. Yeah. And what, like you say, if you include the travelling time, an hour and a half, 3 times a week, 4.5 hours, out of their week to get that relax and that reset is it's so important. So important.
It's like, man, so I've started playing golf now. So twice a week, it's in my diary. And I literally, and I love that because that's 4 to 4.5 hours. I literally get to the golf course. I turn the phone off and I don't look at the phone again until I get back in the car. And I just, I use that as thinking time, chatting with my friends, or just downtime. I don't look at emails. I don't answer calls. I don't worry about the gym. And I think that's been, having that time off has been, I think is probably just as important as me being at the dojo.
Yeah, definitely. I do the same with horse riding. Again, I don't do as much as I should, and I keep kicking myself to do more, but it's really difficult to answer a phone when you're on the back of a horse. So I'll turn it off, leave it in the car, and then go and ride. But obviously they shut for a little while because of coronavirus, and they're back open. So I went back last week, and I'm going back next week. But I do want a bit more. For me, golf ruins a good walk, personally.
No, that's the thing. It's just the thing I like about golf. It has nothing to do with martial arts or anything else. Because everything, like my other hobby is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or going to the gym. But realistically, they're to do with work. I go to the gym to stay fit, so I can keep training and all that kind of stuff. I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because I enjoy the sport, but realistically, it's still got to do with what we do. Golf. And I'm pretty rubbish at golf, which is great. And so I'm rubbish at golf. I lose balls every single time I play. I'm swearing and carrying on. And I love that because I'm rubbish, and it's got I'm never going to be able to transfer that to that and think, I could turn this into a little mini business, or how could I make money from this? And it's just like, it's never going to happen. Never going to happen.
The thing I took was, since I was like 13, since I started kickboxing and was getting good at it, I've always been coaching, always been teaching my whole life. And for the first time in a very long time, I'm now the student and someone's teaching me. And that's so nice rather than, because even when I'm training, even if I'm sparring, I'm still watching the class. I'm still trying to teach someone whilst punch them. Whereas there's no, say trot or canter or leading shoulder in and all that kind of stuff. I'm not thinking, well, how would that make a jab? Do you know what I mean?
And I think that's good. And I think especially like people, because our hobby has become our job, so we've needed to find a new hobby. And as much as they say, it's all right for you, you get to do your hobby for a living, but we still work 60-hour weeks.
We're still, that's a quiet week.
So it's like we're still at work. We're still doing all the paperwork and all the bits and pieces and all the stuff that needs to be done, as well as going to teach. And I think we just now needed to find a different hobby to be able to have our release, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. So I've got a few questions around the coronavirus that we're going to go into. And before I start, I just want to say to everyone who's watching or listening that over the last, I'd probably say 6 months, me and Richard have been talking a lot more, and we're definitely from the same cloth. We have the same thought process. We've got the same mindset and mentality around what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to ask Richard his thoughts, and I know that I will agree with 9 out of 10 of them. So I'm not going to sit there and then give my thought, because my thought will pretty much be identical to yours. So let's start. So how have you coped with Krona? Like over the last 12 weeks, how have you been finding it? How have you been coping?
So when it first started, we thought it was going to be 3 weeks. So me and my team, we basically did we did pre-records and sent them all out to everyone on YouTube and Facebook Live, thinking, there you go, there's your 3 weeks. And everyone's like, oh, great. Next thing you know, it's going to be until May. Okay, crap. Okay, we better get onto Zoom. So after 3 weeks of being on Facebook Lives and pre-records, we went on to Zoom. And from then, we've just done Zoom all the way up until now, which has been great. Don't get me wrong. I think Zoom has saved many martial arts clubs out there and many martial arts students out there. I think it's been a bit of a godsend. At the same time, it's not ideal. It's not great. And I think it's beginning to lose its luster a little bit. But at the same time, I think it's been a fantastic thing. Personally, the first 2 to 3, 4 weeks, I was struggling because we went through the last recession, 2008, 2010, and lost half our members. Now you come to 2020, you're losing half your members again. And you're like, man, again, and you do start to sit there and you think about, the last 3 years of growth and getting everything and all the students and all these people, you're getting them to where you want them. And then everyone's just gone. And which is no fault of their own. A lot of people lost their jobs, were scared and all that kind of stuff. And I think and I even said this to one of my friends, is if someone had offered me a job, a well-paid job at that time, I might have folded the club and gone to that job.
Wow.
Because it was just like, I'm done. I'm done rebuilding and building and trying to find different things and stuff like that. But I think then you just sort of snap out of it. And you realize, no, I wouldn't be able to cope in a normal job. I would hate it. And talking to the mastermind guys and stuff like that, and it was just like, okay, I need to switch back on. And so I think for 3 or 4 weeks, I wallowed in pity and wallowed in and focus. And one thing I say to my team, I think it was very prevalent with myself, is I was focusing on what I lost and not what I had.
Yeah.
And I think, and then I made that switch of, look, hang on a second here. I've still got X, Y, Z in my life. This is all good. And from that day, I've got it written in my diary. From that actual day, I was like, my mind switched 180 degrees, and since then, I've just been able to do so much more. Like you and I have both got books coming out, which is fantastic. So we've been able to work on that. We've been able to do that. You and I have spoken about our online academy stuff. So we've been able to do that. I personally think our club is going to come out stronger than we've ever been because of this. It's brought everyone closer. Me and my instructor team have been able to work on getting things and systems and processes in place. We've been able to change the class schedules around to how we want them. And I think that it's been a good thing for that particular reason. So yeah, it started off as a big negative, but we've turned it into a positive. But at the same time, it's still not a great thing when you've seen so many people leave and potentially not come back because, it's like if someone's not done something for 4 months, they're like, I don't really want to do that anymore.
Yeah, have I missed it? Did I need it?
Yeah, and some of the kids had real potential. It's like some of the kids have got real potential. And you just see that kid's gone because mum or dad may have lost their job at all, and you can't help that. And you just sit there and think, you know what, that kid, he would have been really, really good, but it is what it is, So, but yeah, I think that's probably been my COVID experience up to date. I think, really, in a nutshell.
Yeah, and exactly what you said. It's really scary. If you do something wrong, you can accept it. If you're driving a car and you do something wrong and you crash, you can go, well, that was my fault. But like you say, we've been forced to close. It's no one's fault. We can't blame anyone. It's a virus. Like it's took on the world. So it's millions of people in the same position. But it's hard to take as a business owner and as a martial artist for someone else to go, right, you're closed, and there's nothing you do about it.
And that's it. And people just think, oh, that's all right. I'm still, but. We're still paying our staff. I still have to pay rent where I am here in Eastbourne. Yeah. My landlord.
Insurances are still going.
Insurances are still going. Still have to pay rent. Still have to pay my staff. Still have to do all those things. So we're still having to do all those bits and pieces, as well as manage the staff, as well as manage the students. Like I didn't know what a Zoom was. I wouldn't have a clue. And then so I've had to invest in so much stuff and time to teach myself because I had a bit of tech phobia, like Zoom. Oh, don't, Jesus Christ, I'm not going to know how to use that. What's a webcam? crap, how am I going to get a webcam? All this kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, people don't see that us as business owners, martial arts instructors, owners, how much time and effort and resources that we've had to actually put in when realistically we've lost a third of our income, you know, but yet we still have to keep everything going.
Yeah, and that's like you say. I remember, again, I hadn't heard of Zoom. I did know what a webcam was, but I got to the gym and then people go and use Zoom and do this, and I'm like, we got it set up, and then like Jenny's like standing next to me, go, people are trying to log in, and I'm like, I don't know how to accept them in. Like people are asking for passwords. I'm like, well, where did the bloody password come from? I didn't want one. And you just, do you know what I mean? And then you're getting people going, I can't log in. You've sent me the wrong link, and I'm like, but I sent you 4 links. Which one are you clicking on? Like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, well, I don't bloody know. So yeah,
and it's almost trying to educate yourself, your team, then the parents, then the kids, that this is going to work. And it's like, and you're sitting there at the top of the tree thinking, I don't even know how the bloody make the thing work, so I've got to try and convince everybody else how to get it to work.
And they're going, oh, the sound's not working. I've got you on the TV, but on the phone, but I can hear you twice. And you're like, mute, where's the button?
Yeah. So, but it's been good, you know, a few learning curves. So, no, I enjoy it.
Yeah, and I've strangely really enjoyed it as well. So, which is good. And like, so hopefully, we are now coming out the other side.
Yeah. 6th of July, baby.
6th of July. We'll get to that bit in a minute. I'm going to write that before I forget. I have a few people trying to call me. So yeah, let's talk about date at the end. Yeah. So be honest. I've been honest. I know you've been honest. What's your thoughts on the coronavirus?
Yeah, I think it's been blown way out of proportion. I've got one of my best mates is a paramedic, frontline paramedic, and he says it's been blown way out of proportion. I've got another friend who is a nurse who says it's not been blown out of proportion. It's actually been quite full on. I've got another guy who works in ER, a nurse in the ER. He says it has been blown way out of proportion. You know, I think, you know, seeing these people get really, really ill and all that kind of stuff, I sit and think, geez, lucky that's not us. I wonder, it's all hindsight's a great thing. I wonder what would have happened if we had not locked down. How many people would have caught the bad one? Or
herd immunity.
Yeah, you know, right from the beginning. And it's that dilemma of, is the moral compass of so many people losing their jobs and the country losing billions and the businesses going bankrupt versus so many people losing their lives. You know, for the one family that might lose 2 members, who cares about the country and the finances? They've lost 2 members of their family. So, and they're irreplaceable and money doesn't make any sense. Then you've got other people who are not losing anything but have completely lost their businesses and then they're now bankrupt and maybe have committed suicide because their mental health, because of, you know, they've lost everything. No matter how thin you slice it, there's always 2 sides to the story. Yeah. You know, so I think, do I think we needed to shut down? Yeah, just to get everyone's minds at ease. Do I think we need to be still shut down? No. Do I think that we need to social distance a little? Do I think we need to social distance as much as we are? No. I think, you know, has it been a pain in the bum? Absolutely. But yeah, like I say, it's not much we can do about it because there was a virus and it's the government's issue. And unfortunately, me being one of them, we all watch the news. We're all on Facebook. We're all on, you know, social media, and we get fed the fear mongering and the negativity and all that kind of stuff. And we all buy into it, you know.
And how have you found, and we've spoke about this many, many times, as a rule, your members, how have they found it now? So now you're saying, right, we're opening back up. We've done a test run and so on. You know, I've done my my 6 people in a class times 3.
Yeah.
As we spoke about on the course this morning, you've got people that are worried about sending their kids back to school. I've stuck a post up saying, look, we're thinking about doing a summer camp. I've had over 20 messages going, sign me up. So you've got people going, they're not going to go to school. Then you've got people going, sign my kid up for a summer camp.
Yeah.
But how have your members found their thoughts on you reopening?
I think it's exactly the same. We did a poll a couple of weeks ago, and most were like, yep, let's get this straight back into it. And you're going to have the odd few that'll be like, oh, what happens if we don't want to send the kids back yet? And it's just like, don't worry, we'll still be on Zoom, or we're going to stream the classes or anything like that at all. I think opening is the number one thing, and the key to us and to you guys getting back to some form of normality is as quick as possible, but also allowing those other people that don't want to come back an option to be able to still train on Zoom or whatever, because there is going to be those people who are worried. You know, you might have that one kid or that one family who are, you know, severe asthmatics or severe something, who are right on the, you know, the border
At risk list.
Yeah, that's it. At risk thing. So, yeah, and I think I can see that. So I think having both options, but for the majority, everyone is keen and set, ready to go. But you do have that small minority that are a little bit worried, I think, still.
Yeah, I mean, you've only got to look at the queues at McDonald's and Sports Direct and Primark, haven't you? Like, people want to get back to normal. People, you know, people are starting to change their mindset, and it's not that they don't care. Of course, they care. It's just that the mindset's changing now, and people are ready to sort of crack back on, I think.
Yeah, I
again,
and it's like things like starting back, get back into classes as per normal, but you eliminate like clinch work, sparring, all those types of things where there's that physical contact. You can still hit the bags, you can still do your sparring, you can still do your techniques, you can still do your katas, you know, you can still work with your family doing partner drills and stuff like that. As far as sparring and clinch work, that I think that's going to be a few weeks, then a few weeks, then a few weeks behind that, I think. So, you know, I think everyone understands that, but I think a lot of people are missing that. They want to get back into the gym. They want to get back into the dojo. They like, you know, I want to go back to the gym. I can work out and lift weights and stuff like that, but it's not the same as driving to the gym, lifting some weights, and then driving home. It's just not the same.
Yeah, and again, when you go to the gym, it puts you in the mindset of I'm going to the gym to do gym work.
Yeah,
that's why I've created my little office. That I'm actually in my office at the moment, but it's a mess, hence why you're looking at my gym. But I go to my office now to do work, because if I sit on the sofa, I get distracted and I don't work.
Yeah, same.
So, and again, like I said at the beginning, my thoughts are 100% in line with Richard's on this. On everything that you've mentioned, I agree with 100%. So there's no point giving me my thoughts, because exactly what you just said. So fair play. Do you have a battle plan of opening back up?
Yeah, and I think you and I have spoken about this, how important this is, you know. Absolutely. So all of my instructors, all of my team, we've got the COVID instructor certificates. So we've done all the COVID courses. You know, we have hand sanitation stations at the front door. Things like not allowing spectators in, you know, not allow, you know, like one class leaves and then the next class comes in, having spaces in between each class. So not having spectators. So you haven't got large, you know, it's like before, you would have that class finish, that class start, the parents of both sets of people there, and your reception area has got like 60 people. Yes, it's got 60 people, and then they come off and then they go on, and it's like absolute mess. And so what we're going to do is things like, no parents in. You know, an instructor will come to the front door, escort the kids in, or even the adults in. You know, do your hands, fantastic, and you go. Do your hands, fantastic, and you go. Do your hands, fantastic, and you go. So by the front door, we've got all that sort of stuff, and then at the end of class, we'll take them out. I think to have all those things in place, things like the toilets, making sure that, you know, ideally no one will use the toilet, because that's another touch point. But you know, we've got the reception staff, they're going to clean those toilets every time someone's been in. Like every time we use the bags, we're sort of spraying down and stuff like that. So definitely we have plans in place. And even because we use sports centres like Summerfields and stuff like that as well. So we're even going to have those plans in place, even though we're in a leisure centre rather than our full-time gym. So we have all those bits and pieces. I think you have to, otherwise you're starting blind.
Yeah, no. Well, and again, we're exactly 100% in line with what you've just said. The in and out, the parents, spaces between the classes, hand stations, and so on. Yeah,
and that's it. And we're like, because we've got a male and female changing rooms, and we're just going to close those because it's like you got 8 lads all sitting there with their shirts off in the changing rooms, like this close to each other. And just like that ain't happening, boys. And it's just like you come in your gear and you leave in your gear. Changing rooms are closed. Stuff like that.
Yeah, all our chairs have moved, so all our seating's gone and packed up at the back, so there won't be any place because we've got quite a large reception. So that's kind of closed, certainly for the first month.
Yeah, I think for July, July, wait and see what happens in August and stuff like that. I think is an important thing. Come September, I think we'll be back to normal anyway. But I think at first, just taking those small precautions is an absolute must.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about member safety. I mean, we've kind of just covered that off. Obviously, our first concern for our members is their safety and our safety as well. Yeah. And so about 2 weeks ago, when we started talking about reopening, a lot of people were like, "You can't open. It's dangerous. Think about your members' safety." And it's like, well, do you still go to Tesco's? Because you don't wash your hands there. There's 20,000 people a day going to Tesco's, touching trolleys and fridges. Does everyone clean? Like, do the fridges get cleaned every time someone touches it? No. Like, they're saying we can't sell water in the gym, but you can go to Tesco's and touch whatever you want. Yeah. Like, the gym is going to be one of the cleanest places. It's going to be cleaner than a school. It's going to be cleaner than a nursery. Definitely cleaner than Tesco's.
Oh, yeah.
And yet, people are saying, but, you might sweat on the floor. You'll have your own little zone. It will get cleaned.
Yeah. And the thing is as well, and you can't catch COVID from sweat off the floor onto your foot unless you fall down and lick it up.
Do you not do that in your classes?
And if someone's doing that, kick them out anyway. It's just like, you don't deserve to be in here. Stop licking the floor. Get out. Little things like so. We spraying, we're wiping everything down, all the touch points and stuff like that. What we're actually looking at doing is our fridge to put behind reception. Yeah. So it's only the reception staff that are touching the fridge door and getting the drink out, rather than people always touching that and opening and then reaching for the back one and touching 7 on the way out or something rather like that.
That's exactly what we're doing. Exactly what we're doing.
So we're looking at doing that. Things like, because we've got crisps and stuff like that, and a microwave generally in reception, probably put that away. Yeah. Just things like that. You don't want 7, but then again, no one's going to be really using the microwave anyway, because there's not going to be any parents or anything like that hanging about. So those types of things, really.
We might actually get some work done in reception for a change.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to have a coffee with such and such. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. So we've covered that off. When I do a podcast or a Zoom, I always say to my guests, like, is there anything you want to ask me?
Okay, let me think. What would be, all right, I've just come up from, what would be your best ever fight that you have had, win or loss, and why?
Oh, okay, so I'm glad you are. Actually, this is really random. So my best ever fight, I lost, and it was against Isha Iron Mike.
Right.
Do you know the man?
No.
He's quite well known, one of Colin Payne's boys.
Okay.
I was 17 and he was 24, I think, 24, 25. This was back in the days when kids were allowed to fight adults. And I went up to the casino rooms for Colin Payne's Combat Zone, so really good friends with Colin. And I was meant to be fighting someone else. So I trained and prepped for a shorter guy, Rob. And I remember Isha, I mean, he sold about 160 tickets, just to give you an idea of how popular this guy is.
Wow.
We're talking 6'2". No one shout at me, blacker than black. Like he disappeared in a dark room. Dreads, tribal scars. I mean, this man was a predator Zulu warrior. Okay, so he's walked in, shades on, hand wraps on, 11 o'clock in the morning. And I'd actually sold quite a lot of tickets. I'd sold 30 tickets for this fight. So for me, that was a lot back in the day. And everyone's like, who is that? He looked like a predator walking around. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Isha. He's a monster. He's dangerous. He's knocked out 4 of the last 5 people that he's fought. He is so dangerous. And we've gone to the weigh-in and everyone's weighed in. And Colin's like, got a bit of a problem, Carl. I was like, what's that? He's like, Rob's not fighting. I'm like, okay. He said, but Isha's opponent's not turned up. So you're fighting Isha. And I'm like, huh? There's me telling everyone that he's this dark destroyer. And I looked at my instructor, Paul, and I said, what do you think? And he said, he said, we've tuned you to fight an army. He said, I have faith in you. And whether he was just saying that because we'd sold tickets when we'd fight or not, I don't know. But that's how I used to fight. So a bit of a long story short, I, for 4 hours, shit myself, but was going. So my battle plan was don't get knocked out. He had knocked out everyone. Everyone he fought, he was knocking them out. So my battle plan was don't get knocked out. Whatever happens, just survive the fight. Seems like a good plan. So I've walked in, 30 people scream, nice and noisy. Local lad, Isha, his music comes on. It still gives me chills today. I can hear the entrance music. And it's Do You Hate Me Now? Do you hate me now? Like that. And all I could see was, and again, this has not been racist, but I remember the room was pitch black and there was a light on him. And all I could see was his teeth in his eyes. And his eyes were like this. And I was just like, oh my God. And when he walked in, the noise nearly knocked me over. I mean, it was like a bomb going off. I was like, he had sold all of them tickets, plus he was local. There must have been 600-700 people screaming at him. Wow. So he's walked in and, can I show you the photo? I might be able to show you the photo. Don't even know where my phone is. Oh, I might stick it on the end of here. Honestly, the man is a unit. Like, if God was to chisel a human being, he wouldn't have even made it that good then. And and I've got into the ring and I've sort of looked at him and I've gone, because I'm only 5'6", do you know what I mean? So in the fight, and again, Malcolm Martin, amazing friend of mine, one of the world's best commentators. You can't really hear it in the commentary because it was done on VHS back in the days, but you can hear him saying, like, and Malcolm's really honest. In the commentary, he's going, well, I know Carl, he's pretty good, but Isha, he's strong, he's dangerous, he's knocked everyone out, and they've got a really good ref in the ring, Marty Cox, so if Carl has any problems, Marty will be there to save him, and basically wrote me off for about 2 minutes.
Wow.
And then Isha come out trying to kill me. Like low kicks, kicking me in the hip, trying to take my head off. And I was just like, oh. So he battered me for the first round. And I threw about 4 punches in round 1 because I was just in defense mode. And then I got back to corner and my instructor was like, are you hurt? I'm like, no. And he said, are you scared now? I'm like, no. He said, well, stop standing fucking still and hit him back. So throughout the fight, I started to throw shots, and basically what I'd done is I let him come in, unload, and I was just like that, right, bang, bang. And I've just clubbered him, and I hit him with this left hook, and I rocked him, and you hear Colin go, you hear Malcolm sort of go, Isha's come in again, he's hurting him, he's got him on. Oh, Cole's just, Isha didn't like that, and that was the turning point, and it was a split decision, and I lost.
Wow.
A lot of people said that it was a draw, or he definitely won round 1, draw round 2, maybe I won round 3. It was a close fight. No one really won it. And this is what I say to my fighters all the time. People go, oh, you won it, because they've only watched you fight, not the fight.
Yeah.
I didn't win. I just didn't lose. So, so I'll take the loss. And then, like, there's a photo of like him hugging me, and I look like a child against him. And he said to me, bruv, like, that's the toughest fight I've had. You really hit hard. I only hit him about 5 times. And then he went on after that. He won another fight, won a British title. He then fought a German and knocked him out in 7 seconds.
Wow.
Like, he went on and just kept knocking people out. So, and we're still good friends now, and we talk, and he's still a unit now. I'm going to test my computer skills now. Isha, I Mike. He honestly so motivational. He's an absolute legend of a person. And we still talk to this day. I met him last year at a show, and we still chat and get on. He runs his own club now and stuff. Right, can you see my screen?
Car, I started. Yeah, it's doing it now. Oh God,
that's the fella. I
Mate.
mean that's him now, obviously, but he basically looked like that in his 20s, just not quite as heavy. But that's what he looked like. I mean, he's a really nice guy. I mean, so this is what he looked like when I fought him, like that. Again, Isha, if you're watching this, I'll tag you in it when we finish, man. So to simply answer your quick question,
That was a good, like you say, and I think it's a nice lesson to take away, a lesson on resilience, a lesson on, you didn't win, but you didn't lose, but you stuck to your guns and you did your absolute best. And I think that is, a whole honestly, what martial arts should be about. You might not win every single time. And it's like, it's like you get some people into your dojo, into your gym now, they are never going to be very good, but they're going to be as good as they possibly can be. And it's their own personal victory. It's like you go to some competitions and that kid that's always going to enter the competition and they're never going to place, but they're always there. They're always there because they just don't have that there. And I think you taking that resilience and that, that lesson from that has probably served you long term. Just like, what, I was able to dig deep, bite down on my gum shield and just hang in the game. And I think, and that's what's happened with Krona, to be able to dig deep, bite down in the gum shield and just hang in the game and see what happens. Don't let Krona knock you out.
Yeah. And that's, again, I mean, that's basically what we're battling for, isn't it? Is that resistance and that strength against what's coming. We can't stop it. No. We can't control it. No one can. They're doing their best to try and get a vaccine and bits and pieces. And I understand this week they might have found a steroid that helps fight it. But like, it's a battle that we've got to take. And you can choose to kind of run away from it and hide. And again, we have lost many people through it, which is like extremely sad, and no one wants to lose anyone. But at the same point, there comes to a point where you've just got to go, right, enough's enough.
Yeah, enough's enough. Time to get on with it.
I'm just trying to see if I can find a photo of me and him because I literally look like a child against him. But too many photos on Facebook. So, and that's probably one of. Great question, by the way. Great question. And that kind of instantly took me back to being a late teen.
Yeah.
In my fight, so that's really cool. I'm going to find that photo and I'm tagging you in it.
Good man, I like it.
What's the best advice you've ever been given?
Tough one again. See,
where'd you start?
That's it. The number one rule for me, it's in my book. I grew up without a father.
What's your book called?
It's called The Perfect 10.
Cool.
And for me, it's the 10 keys to happiness that I had to learn the hard way. That's the name of the book, The Perfect 10. The 10 keys to happiness that I had to learn the hard way. I didn't have a father. My older brother was a lot older than me. So I didn't really have anyone to teach me any lessons or anything like that at all, or sort of say, no, don't do it that way, do it this way, or anything like that. I would say probably rather than advice, the best thing that I ever learned or got taught or showed was goal setting. How to set goals, why to set goals, where you should set goals. I'd never, I was 25 when I first got shown goal setting. No one had spoken to me about goals. No one had spoken to me about dreams. No one had spoken to me about setting out a plan to achieve what you want or anything like that at all. No one had told me that there was a smart system to set goals or anything like that at all. I had none of that. And for me, having goals has probably been the one thing that has actually changed my life for the absolute better. Is because we all want extra, but if you talk to any athlete or any world-class athlete or any world-class business, they've all got goals and they've all got stepping stone goals to achieve what they ultimately want. And I didn't learn that. I didn't know any of that sort of stuff until I was 25. So I would say that has probably been the biggest advice that I give. And in my chapters, I think it's chapter 4 or chapter 5, I think is about goal setting, because it's all about, you need to be able to take this on, to actually get where you want to go. And I think that's where the belt system is good in kickboxing and karate, because it's like you can set yourself a goal. I want to be a yellow belt. I want to be an orange belt. I want to be a black belt. I want to be a 3rd degree. I want to compete, or I don't want to compete, or I want to be able to at least survive 3 rounds, or I want to be able to not get knocked out. It's like you've given yourself a set goal to achieve without doing that. And I think sport enables goal setting to be able to work really well. So I think that would be my number one thing, I think. Yeah, what about you? What about yourself?
Well, I want to echo what you said, because isn't it ironic? So from the age of 10, I started kickboxing. From the age of 7, I started doing karate. And we were set goals then, our gradings, but we never saw it like that from a personal point or a business point of view. Because I want to be a black belt, I want to be a British champion, and so on. So we set these goals by our instructors, and we set these goals for ourselves. I want to win the fight. I don't want to get knocked out. But we've never, or I personally, until more so recently, started implementing having them goals in business, and that's exactly what you just said. And as you're saying, I was thinking we've known it our whole life. Yeah, just didn't implement it to other areas of our life.
Exactly. And I think that's important. So when I was a carpenter, if someone said to me, "Oh, what are your goals?" I want to own my own business, own my own house, have a ghost car. But that was just like, well, that's what everyone has. You just growing up in Australia as a carpenter, you're going to have a car, have a house, have a business, and then just
live,
cruise through life and live and hopefully get that. But knowing that there was no plan to it, no plan of action, no battle attack, no sort of stepping stones, no sort of idea of actually how to achieve this or anything like that, because I'd never really had any advice or any mentors, which is another chapter in my book, on how to achieve that. I think definitely having that part of it is important. I think would probably be my number one advice if I was going to give someone. Learn about goal setting, learn how you can use that in primary school, secondary school, even with your kids at home. Let's set goals. Let's set our achievements. Let's set how to do that, and how to do that effectively. I think is super important.
Definitely. Really good advice. Really good advice. Good man. Again, for me, it's pretty much the same. I only signed up to the masterminds last month, so I'm kind of new to the masterminding part of it. But one of my key areas is try not to worry. And I tell everyone else to do this brilliantly, and I don't do it myself. But don't worry about the things you can't control.
Yeah.
I can't control gravity. I can't control the tax man. I can't control coronavirus. But they're the things we worry about a lot of. So having a better understanding of not getting so upset or stressed or worked out, letting the anxiety build up with stuff that you can't control. You can't control if your missus might be in a bad mood. Do you know what I mean? Like, just simple little things. Sometimes, obviously, depending on what you've done. But you see my point. There's things you just can't control.
And that's it. I think letting that stuff, like there's a book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. And because a lot of the times the majority of the stuff is small stuff.
Yeah, it really is.
It's funny. It's like you asked my wife, Claire. I get more angry at a cord not working or the printer not working and smash the printer to pieces because it'll work one day, then not the next. But then if we're in a car accident or something major happens, I'm very chilled. It's the small stuff that winds me up like that more than anything else. And that's my lesson to myself is learning how to not let that worry me and just not let it control you really and just move on.
Yeah, because it can be the little things that really grab hold, isn't it? Bigger picture and all that.
Exactly that, mate. Exactly that.
So let's finish up on a positive. We've talked about it all the way through, but confidence and mindset. Obviously, we've had to implement a certain mindset, and I think myself, yourself, Colin Payne, and a few others, Gordon, and a couple others, are the ones that are at the front of the spear, the tip of the spear, the front of the drive, the movement forward of going, right. I mean, I said 2 weeks ago, July 6th, that's my date. July 6th, I'm opening.
Yeah.
And I know you've said the same, and I know a few others said the same. And most of people, we don't know. Let's wait and see what happens, and let's sit still. I'm saying to my members, I want to open July 6th. You don't have to come back. We're still going to be on Zoom. But do you want to come back? And 99% of them, I'm there with you.
Yeah, I agree. I think you've, in a world of uncertainty, people are craving certainty. And so if we can give them certainty, we're onto a winner. Talking about mindset and stuff like that, growing up in Australia in the 70s and 80s, mindset wasn't even a word. It's just like, it's very, I grew up in a very harsh sort of rural town, suburban, lifestyle. And there was no such thing as mindset. And, you just crack on and get on with it, and that's it. And I think the beautiful thing about today's society is that we actually can recognize when people are struggling mentally. They are struggling, with anxieties. I didn't even know anxiety was a word. I didn't know any of these things growing up because I think it was a different generation back then. I think we've got a different generation of kids and parents that have gone through so many different changes and stuff like that. I'm a bit older than you, so it's a bit different. And I'm probably a lot older than you, actually. But
I don't think there's much between us.
I'm 50 this year.
I'm 40 this year. There you go, 10 years.
There you go.
And you don't look 50.
Cheers, mate.
There you go, kids martial arts. Get into martial arts, and you're going to look young.
look like that. And I think it's important because having that realization now, and I've been on a lot more, with what you're doing with the confident thing with the kids, I think that's crucial. And I think recognizing that certain kids are struggling mentally, certain kids have anxiety, certain kids like that. I still struggle to recognize that. And I still struggle to empathize with that. My wife says I have zero empathy, and I pretty much do. It's just like, oh, bloody get on with it. Come on, let's just get on with it, and stuff like that. But I think it's important for me and everyone else as instructors, there's in people in leadership, to empathize with people, but to try through martial arts and through personal development and through guidance, help these people with that mental health and that positivity as much as we possibly can.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the vision I have when people talk about it is, you're 3 years old, you've got your little bike with the stabilizers. And at some point, you have to take the stabilizers off. And at some point, you're going to fall over and you're going to cut your knee and you're going to cry. Do you take the bike home and give up? Or do you wipe them off, go back to the top of the hill, push them again?
Yeah.
There has to be a little bit of tough love. There has to be that little bit. Otherwise, we don't grow, we don't build, we don't, it's the building blocks of life. And again, I'm a bit more like you. And, a kid will come in and fall over and the mum might go, oh, he's fallen over. I'm like, it'll be all right, get up. Get up, what are you crying for? Are you bleeding? Are you dead? No, stand up, carry on. And they're like, oh, that's a bit. I'm like, he's not dying.
Yeah.
He fell over on a sponge floor.
Yeah, and
he's still got his teeth. He's fine.
And I think that's the thing. People talk about the snowflake generation and all that kind of stuff. It's just different parenting, and it's just different. It's like, as a parent, you want to obviously mollycoddle your children. You don't want anything to happen to them. But if you've had generations of mollycoddling, next thing you know, you've got only model coddling. You've not got the like the days of farmers. You don't see farmers' kids complaining because they're not on their iPad 10 hours a day. They're out, milking cows. I already thought that on. I think it's just generational, where we have gotten that little bit maybe softer, but also as parents, we want to protect our kids. Because I remember as a kid, you'd go out at like 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, come home at 6 o'clock at night, and your mum and dad.
When it's dark.
Yeah. That's it. And you'd eat, you'd drink out someone's tap, you'd eat the fruit, or you go to someone's house for a sandwich, and there's no
out of trees.
Exactly, and that's it. And now I wouldn't let my daughter do that. There'd be absolutely no way, hope in hell, that would do that, because the world's a different place now.
Yeah,
it's just different expectations. So I can accept that, and I think that it definitely is. But the great thing is, schools are good at recognizing it now. I think clubs like us are good at recognizing it now, and I think even parents have that support now to be able to help their kids. And we are in a position of influence that we can sort of help people along. I think martial arts is such a positive event and such a positive tool to be able to help people's mindsets and help those things. I think more and more people should do it and could potentially help with their mindset the more they do it.
100%. And all the last 3 or 4 weeks, I'm getting more and more phone calls, more and more Facebook messages asking, can my son and daughter come back? Can you have a word with them? Can you ring them? They're really struggling. And we're just talking about sitting at home. So, like, moving forwards, of course, me and you are going to say martial arts is the best thing in the world and you should all do it. But you should. And you've only got to look at the calls and messages we're getting from parents that are struggling with mindset, mentality, confidence building, and so on and so on. So again, I just want to say thank you for your time. I think we've finished on that positive, because that's a great place to finish. Of course, me and Rich are going to say that you've got to start martial arts because it's the best thing in the world, because it is. That's what I've got written on all my clothes and all our banners on our website. It isn't just a sport; it is a way of life. Yeah, it generally is, and we generally care about it. So for the guys that have watched or listened, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned a little bit. I hope we might have covered some topics that maybe might help you going forwards. If you want to get hold of Richard Canton, get hold of him at.
You can get me on Facebook, Richard Canton, or email richard@cantonmartialarts.org.uk or richard@the-perfect-10, because if you're going to live a life, you might as well make it a perfect 10. And if you're going to score in life, it's always the perfect 10. So check out my book, check out my Facebook page and websites and stuff like that. Anything like that, it's all good.
Fantastic. I mean, everyone knows how to get hold of me. Call down on Facebook, Hastings Kickboxing, or Hastings Kickboxing on Google, and you'll find us somewhere. Exactly. So thank you so much for your time, Richard. I really do appreciate it. I've learned a little bit more about you. It's been a good little chat. I'm just going to end the recording in a second. Once again, guys, thank you for listening, watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Remember, this is Kickstart Your Confidence. It's not just a sport, it's a way of life. No, don't end it.